Hi, this is David Soto, Community Engagement Manager for Houston Habitat for Humanity, and welcome to the Core Volunteer Orientation. Here you will learn about who we are, Houston Habitat's other programs, the Core Volunteer Program, and how to navigate our online volunteer portal. Houston Habitat wants you to know all about us so you can decide whether you want to take the next step in becoming a core volunteer, which is both an ambassador for our mission and a volunteer leader. We need volunteers who want to learn, build, and lead. Please view the whole presentation because we'll be including a passcode that you should remember. If you are in the next training group, then I will ask you what this code is to verify you watched the presentation. The code will not be on the slides. I will say it and repeat it. It's important that you understand what the program requirements are before saying yes to joining us. You do not have to verify that you watched the orientation again if you've already provided the passcode for previous presentations. We do ask that you verify that you can attend the schedule though. I encourage you to write down any questions you have and email me them at dsoto@houstonhabitat.org. What is Habitat for Humanity? You will hear the terms affiliate mentioned when discussing Habitat for Humanity with staff. Each city or county that has a Habitat for Humanity is its own affiliate, that is, a separate nonprofit from Habitat for Humanity International, or HFHI. HFHI is our national/international organization that we are bound together through branding, fundraising in some aspects, housing standards, and advocacy. There are about 5 Habitat affiliates in the greater Houston area, so it's important for us to identify that we are Houston Habitat for Humanity, or Houston Habitat. But we have the largest service area of all the local affiliates and build the most homes each year. We love our sister organizations and often send them our volunteers who are seeking to help in a more local capacity. Habitat for Humanity is a worldwide nonprofit started in 1976 by Millard and Linda Fuller. The Fullers were inspired to create Habitat after their involvement with Cornona Farm and its founder, Clarence Jordan, who utilized the idea of partnership housing. You can learn more about the beginnings of Habitat for Humanity through the documentary Briars in the Cotton Patch. Habitat's most famous volunteers, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, became involved with Habitat in 1984. Its international headquarters are located in Georgia. Houston Habitat for Humanity was started in 1987 by Carl Umlin. It served more than 5,000 families through new home ownership and home repair. We were the host of Super Builds 37 and 51, building that number of homes on each project during Super Bowl season. We've been recognized as 4-star charity by Charity Navigator and earned the Gold Seal Transparency from GuideStar. The future looks bright for Houston Habitat as we've started breaking ground on our new development, Robbins Landing. Robbins Landing is a vibrant, new mixed-income master plan community with highly coveted amenities on a sprawling 127-acre tract in northeast Houston. Habitat for Humanity is dedicated to eliminating substandard housing and homelessness worldwide, and to making adequate, affordable shelter a matter of conscience and action. Our organization was founded on the conviction that every man, woman, and child should have a simple, decent place to live in dignity and safety. In the US, 46.5 million people live in poverty, and in Texas, 1 in 7 households spend half or more of their income on housing. Minimum wage is just not keeping up with the rising cost of living, and many workers struggle to find decent housing. Decent, stable housing provides more than just a roof over somebody's head. It provides stability for families and children, a sense of dignity and pride, health, physical safety, and security, and an increase in educational and job prospects. Houston Habitat's programs also help to address the homeownership gap for people of color. More than 90% of Houston Habitat homeowners are African American and Hispanic, as are neighborhoods that it works to revitalize. By increasing homeownership among this demographic, Houston Habitat has been helping diminish the wealth gap for people of color. At Houston Habitat for Humanity, we believe no one should have to pay more than a third of their income on housing. Now that you learned more about Houston Habitat's history, mission, and purpose, let's discuss our programs. The information that follows isn't intended to be an overview of our programs and not an in-depth discussion. You can always reference our website at www.houstonhabitat.org for additional information or ask a staff member. There is a slide with all the websites mentioned at the end of this presentation. So what does Houston Habitat do? We build homes. Houston Habitat for Humanity works to address Houston's gap in homeownership and the availability of affordable homes by partnering with low-income families to help them achieve the dream of homeownership. By providing financial and homeownership training and the opportunity to help build their own homes, Houston Habitat ensures that families have the knowledge and wherewithal to maintain homeownership. You can take a virtual tour on our website. There are 3 different models to view. It's like you're walking through each of the rooms. These homes are built by amazing volunteers like you, and there's no experience necessary to build. We will train you. And we'll get more into the homeownership program and volunteering later. We advocate. Houston Habitat for Humanity defines advocacy as changing policies and systems to eliminate barriers to adequate, affordable housing in order to create a world where everybody has a decent place to live. In essence, advocacy is not accepting shortcomings in current policy, but rather working to shape it in a way that supports people in need of adequate housing. Habitat on the Hill, Habitat for Humanity International's annual legislative conference, is an opportunity for Habitat staff, board members, homeowners, resident leaders, volunteers, and supporters from around the country to unite as advocates for safe and affordable housing. Every year, some of our staff and homeowners participate in Habitat on the Hill in Washington, D.C. to advocate for better housing solutions. At the state level, we participate in Habitat for Humanity's Day at the Dome in Austin, Texas. This year, over 125 volunteers came from all across Texas to swing a hammer with Habitat for Humanity Texas to build all the walls for one home in under 3 hours. We revitalize neighborhoods. We partnered with 2 community gardens in the Houston area in the 5th Ward and Settegast neighborhoods. Community gardens are crucial in supplying food-desert neighborhoods with nutritious fruits and vegetables. They're also places where communities can gather and learn how to grow food at their own homes. We also have the Aging in Place program, which helps by offering repairs, modifications, and weatherizations to allow people to live in their home comfortably and with pride. We offer recovery after disasters. Houston Habitat helps low-income families maintain homeownership by repairing existing homes. The organization has repaired countless homes throughout Houston, including over 600 damaged by Hurricane Harvey and 90 homes damaged by Winter Storm Uri. Our home repair program also helps delay gentrification for at least a generation by preserving homes that would have been turned down and replaced with those too expensive for existing community residents. You can find the application for Harvey, Imelda, and the winter storm, and even COVID assistance at www.connectivetx.org. We restore. Houston Habitat operates 3, there's 2 brick and mortar and 1 online, home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used merchandise to the general public at a fraction of retail prices. Catering it to do-it-yourselfers, small contractors, and bargain hunters, Houston Habitat's Restores help Houstonians recovering from storms by providing materials needed for repair at affordable prices. Profits from the Restore are used to then help fund Houston Habitat's programs. There are 2 in the Houston area, so the larger warehouse-like facility is at 610 South Loop East and Wayside, and the retail-focused store is off of West 34th and 290. You can also order online at www.houstonhabitatrestore.com, and veterans receive a 10% discount with valid ID. We train. Houston Habitat is addressing the shortage of skilled labor with residential construction and repair experience in the Houston area by operating the Build Your Future on-the-Job training program. This program operates on a 40-hour work week, pays trainees while they learn, and uses real work to provide an authentic learning experience. The Build Your Future program supports Houston Habitat's mission by expanding local capacity to repair, build affordable homes, and provide the opportunity for a career in residential construction. We partner because every family is a partner. We do our best to ensure that they earn a safe, decent, affordable home and keep it. We provide low interest, zero down payment, affordable mortgages. Houston Habitat selects families who live and or work in the community in which the home is being built. Families must earn between 50 to 80% of the area median income and be able to pay a monthly mortgage. A Houston Habitat house is not a free house. Many people think that we give away free houses, and this is far from the truth. While our houses are very affordable, they're not free. Families must also show a need for housing and a history of responsible credit and debt management. To build community skills and partnership, Houston Habitat families commit up to 250 hours of sweat equity. That is, they spend up to 250 hours volunteering with Houston Habitat, learning finance skills, and taking homeowner readiness classes. You can find our application at www.houstonhabitat.org. You can view the program criteria and also download the PDF application version online. We strongly encourage applicants to have all the documents ready before they submit their application because missing documents may delay the processing. Some of the benefits to the homeowners are that they're paying an affordable mortgage with no more than 30% of the family's monthly income going towards housing. They're building equity through a low interest mortgage, and there's no down payment required, and loan instructions that ward off predatory lenders. There's homeowner readiness, financial planning, good neighbor, and homeowner association classes, and they live in a safe, affordable home in Northeast Houston. As you see here in this photo is Miss Armendariz and her daughter. One of the great things about the program is that we help build generational wealth. Many people think generational wealth is just passing on a home to your kids, but it's more than that. It's also modeling behavior. If you grew up in a household where you never budgeted, you never learned about savings, you didn't know about interest, all those types of things, then our program teaches you those those skills, which you could then teach to your kids. So that is also another component of generational wealth that is a benefit to our program. If you know anybody who may benefit from it, then please send them to our website to apply or download an application. We have an overnight drop box available for submitting applications at your convenience. Many of our volunteers want to know where our funds come from. Well, we rely on gifts from individuals, corporations, foundations, and restore profits to fund our house building mission. All donations of any amount are deeply appreciated and help us build more decent, affordable houses with more families in Houston. Houston Habitat's most recent audited financial statement and annual report are available on our website. As you can see on this chart, 31% of our income comes from mortgage payments. That means families are paying back into our programs so they can ensure that future families are able to benefit. Now that we went over our history and program information, let's talk about how volunteers can support our mission. There are 3 ways to volunteer with Houston Habitat: at the Restore, at a community garden, or on open builds. Remember, you can find our open volunteer opportunities on our volunteer portal at www.houstonhabitat.volunteerhub.com. There are 2 options to volunteering at the Restore. At our West 34th Restore, volunteers will help customers locate their shopping needs and provide some limited donation support. There are 2 shifts which can be found at the bottom of the slide, and it's okay if you take both shifts or only one. It's a smaller store, so the maximum number of volunteers here is 2. The South Loop Restore, volunteers will assist the staff with donation support, which includes unloading donations from our trucks, cleaning, pricing, and stocking donations. Same thing, there are 2 shifts available, and this warehouse-like store can accommodate 6 individual volunteers or 10, a group of 10 per shift. Occasionally, we'll have an off-site donation support activity at various times through the year. We'll get large donations from businesses, and we'll put out a call for volunteers to meet us on site to help load donations onto our trucks. The times vary, but generally you can expect to start at 8 a.m. and be finished by 4 or sooner if the job is done. Lunch is often provided, and sometimes we break these into smaller shifts. The number of volunteers needed, like I said, will vary with the size of the donation, but generally it's 4 to 10. You got 2 options when volunteering at a community garden. The first one is the Fifth Ward Farmer Street Garden, which is managed by Mr. Phillips, who's headed that garden for about 13 years. And the garden will eventually transition to a smaller size. Their needs over there are weeding, planting, and harvesting. Or you can go over to Setagast to their community garden. It's a little bit newer and established at the fall of 2019. Ms. Briggs now manages the garden with support from local residents. The needs over there are weeding, planting, and harvesting. Eventually, we plan for this garden to set up their own 501c3 nonprofit made up of local community residents. You could also volunteer to build with us. We are currently building in Setagast and Clinton Park neighborhoods. We will ask individuals and small groups to assist in home building when availabilities arise. These are called open builds. There are two build seasons, spring and fall, and we take a break during the summer during the peak heat, which is July and August. We can build Wednesday through Saturday, 7:30 to 2 p.m. We have a max capacity of 20 volunteers on each build site. Small groups are welcome for open builds with a max of 5 volunteers per group. Volunteers need no experience, but they must be at least 16 years of age or older. Some home building tasks that you might find are mostly framing tasks like the ones you see here on the slide. You will not need to bring any equipment since we have everything you need, but feel free to bring your own personal gear like a hard hat or gloves or anything like that. We do ask that you wear closed-toed shoes, no jewelry, no offensive apparel, and come dressed to get dirty. Please avoid wearing Keds or Converse out on the build site, especially when it's rainy. There's a lot of mud and you could slip, so you need something with treads. Now that you have an understanding about building with Houston Habitat, let's go over how our core volunteers fit in that picture. Houston Habitat is greatly aided in construction by its regular volunteers. Core volunteers receive exclusive training, reserved volunteer spots and builds, a uniform, and lots of gratitude. Core volunteers assist staff house leaders on new construction with volunteers, or to help progress homes forward. Just as important, core volunteers are volunteers, leaders, and ambassadors. Houston Habitat believes that our core volunteers have the potential to be much more than volunteers who donate their time often. They are volunteers who are courteous to others and help when they see the need on the build site. We feel that in addition to volunteers, core volunteers are leaders. This means that they are both trainers and safety guides who follow and encourage others to follow the Houston Habitat Volunteer Code of Conduct. Core volunteers motivate others to accomplish tasks while understanding that not everyone has the same skill set or aptitude. Patience is a big requirement for a core volunteer. Core volunteers are also ambassadors to the Houston Habitat mission. They tell others about our programs and direct them to our staff or to the website when they don't know how to answer a question about Houston Habitat. It takes a new staff member months to get the hang of talking about all of our programs, so we don't expect you to know it all, but at least know what direction you could point someone in need. If you're just looking for more build opportunities, that's great. Then please consider signing up for our open builds because the core volunteer program is designed for those who wish to be volunteers, leaders, and ambassadors. In order to be eligible for the program, you must be available for training. We're looking for those who commit to at least 8 to 10 training builds, all Saturdays, maybe more if not all the training tasks are learned. You got to be able to lift at least 50 pounds. We are building homes, so you need to be able to lift supplies and equipment. Larger supplies, more longer supplies, you got to be able to lift with a partner. You got to be able to wear a hard hat for about 6 hours a day. We'll have breaks available. Be able to get on a one-story roof. If the volunteers are on the roof, then that's where you're going to have to be. Must have the temperament and willingness to teach others how to build. You got to pass a background check upon graduation. All volunteers, including core volunteers, must also adhere to our volunteer code of conduct. And you can find that in the guidebook, which is on the website. Our core curriculum, which can be found in the core guidebook, mimics the daily task for each of the volunteer build days. Using the guidebook along with the Houston Habitat construction manual we provide you, you'll be able to follow along and know what is expected of you and what you still need to learn. For example, today is the second build day. Yesterday we learned framing, so today we will learn sheathing. You can view the construction manual and these subtasks the day before to learn what you need to take away from the build day. Before the day is over, you should attempt to learn each of those subtasks. The construction manual and guidebook are subject to changes. We aim to update them after every build season with additional or revised content with feedback from each of the training cohorts. Core volunteers can work on 3 types of builds. Here are the timeframes for each of them. The house builds will be out in the field at an address provided to you on each event sign-up. Sometimes, like the current season, we'll have one parking location, and once you park there, you'll be shuttled to the actual build location. Sometimes this happens when the housing that we're building have streets that are really narrow, really small. So we're trying to be good neighbors. So we'll have one parking location, we'll shuttle you to the build. The shuttle will be available all day in case you got to leave early or if you come later. The playhouse and wall builds are here at our warehouse on 3750 North McCarty. It's off of Northeast 610 Loop and McCarty. Our house build daily timeline generally starts at 7:30 with check-in and setup. At 8 o'clock, we start the morning talk and safety brief, then start building shortly afterwards. Around 11 a.m. we break for lunch, but this depends on sponsoring catering delivery times. Some sponsors cater while some don't. Individuals on open builds and core volunteer trainees are asked to bring their own lunch. I recommend that you bring your own lunch because your lunch time may get eaten up by driving around looking for something. The break can be 30 minutes to an hour depending on the construction crew's guidance. After lunch, we build again until about 1:30, and then that's when we start putting away equipment and cleaning up the build site. We're going to take all the personal trash, so water bottles, food trash, and that'll leave the build site each day. Build trash, so excess lumber and the like, will stay on site to be picked up by a trailer later. Let's go over the upcoming training schedule. So we will start on Saturday, September 10th, and build on consecutive Saturdays. There are a total of 11 days scheduled to account for rain days or for running behind. For instance, if we start on day 1 and then we didn't finish all the day 1 tasks that day, then we're going to need to finish those up before we start on the day 2 tasks. So on the second day, we're going to start behind. And those things compound. So we're going to want to make sure that we finish all the tasks in one day. But we built all the schedule in mind with those extra days if we need it. So we might not take 11 days, we might take 8 days, we might take 7 days if we have everybody show up and we get all the tasks done. It's really important that you show up for the scheduled dates so we can stay on target. Please let me know if something changes and you can't finish the course. If known early, I can get somebody else in. In order to graduate from the program, you must pass at least 5 out of the 6 build day classes and have most of the subtasks completed. So those classes include the framing, the trusses, the sheathing, all those main classes, and then you got the subtasks. The evaluations are conducted by the construction director and the primary trainer. I am not the one who evaluates you, and I don't approve your graduation. Non-graduates will roll over to the new build season where they can join the next training group. Those rollovers that finish their needed classes during the next season will be immediately deemed complete, receive their uniform, and be placed in the core graduate user group. Those in the core graduate user group can sign up to be house lead assistants to help staff lead volunteers out on the build site. Those rollovers will have to wait until the end of that current build season to attend the actual graduation ceremony with the current training group. So this time I am going to give you the presentation code. So if you want to grab a pen and paper and write down this code, which is 0910. Once again, that's 0910. I'm going to ask everyone next in line whether they're available for training and also to give the presentation code to show that they attended the orientation. If they're not interested or they can't attend the training, well then I'll just keep going down the line. It may be that those within, the last 6 months or even the last 2 weeks are able to join the program because everybody else is not available. So please do write down the code and please check your schedule to see if you're able to attend the training. Before I close out the presentation, I'd like to go over Volunteer Hub. You will need to be familiar with this website to sign up for your events. Please remember or write down your username and password, or use the forgotten password feature if you can't remember it. If I ask you to join the program, then please sign up for an account already so you can get ahead of the game. The first thing you're going to need to do is visit our online volunteer portal at houstonhabitat.volunteerhub.com. Searching for Houston Habitat and Volunteer Hub will also get you to the page. If you have an account, then sign in, find your event, and sign up. You could also click the links or landing pages at the top in green to get to specific categories. For core volunteer trainees, you're going to check the core volunteers link to find your events. I'll also send you a link in your invitation email, which you can use specifically to get to a landing page that only has all the events you need to sign up for. If you don't have an account, then click Create an Account in the upper right and start your registration. When you get to this page, make sure you click the right boxes. Veterans will let us know you're a veteran. Veteran families in our program can tap into bank veteran volunteer hours to help them finish the sweat equity hours sooner. Garden volunteers. This box will put you in the Garden Volunteer User Group, which lets you sign up for garden events. It'll also put you on the email list that we use to inform volunteers of new garden events. Open Build volunteers. Similar to the garden box, Open Build volunteers can sign up for open build spots and will be notified when we post new build events. These tend to fill up fast, so sign up quick once you see an update email about new openings. Restore volunteers. Restore volunteers can join Restore events and will receive notifications about new Restore events. We send updates to those user groups, Garden, Open Build, and Restore, typically at the end of the month once we post the new events for the following month. And we occasionally send updates for events that have quickly popped up and will start soon. Once you finish registering for your account, you'll be able to sign up for any events you're eligible for. You can click the links up top to view landing pages that only have specific types of events, or you could scroll down and find your event. You will encounter a couple messages to the right of an event. These tell you sign up. The green sign up button means you can sign up right away for the event. Reserve. This means that the event is only reserved for a group or you haven't been added to the correct affiliation on your account. You can click the event to see which group of volunteers have spots reserved. If it says reserved and there's a reservation for open build, restore, or garden volunteers, then you just need to click your name in the upper right and add that group to your affiliations. If it has the name of a company like Kinder Morgan or Chevron, then it's only those in that user group can join the event. And then you'll see registration disabled. For various reasons, the management team has disabled anyone from signing up for these events. And lastly, you'll also see waitlist. If you join the wait list, then when somebody unregisters for that event, whoever's next in line will be automatically registered for that event. So for open builds and some other types of builds, it's very important to go ahead and sign up for that wait list because somebody might drop out and then you'll be next in line. So do check your emails if you sign up for the wait list because you might be automatically registered for the event. Circling back to events for reserve groups, if you're a part of a name group, that will send you a join code to add to your account. You can enter this account when you're first registering, which you'll see when you create an account, or afterwards by clicking your name and adding the join code. Core trainees and graduates do not have join codes because staff, specifically I, will manually add you to each one of those groups. Those who are next in the line will be receiving an email soon to verify your interest. I will remove those who are no longer interested or not available for training. This may move some fall 2022 spots up along with everyone else down the line. Once you have identified the fall's 20 core training spots, I'll send out another email update on the status of everyone's training. We do appreciate the outpouring of interest to help us build affordable homes in Houston. We just ask that you be patient as we work down our list. Although the list is long, we often fill 10 or so of the 20 course spots with those who signed up recently. Many have been on the list for some time and they just don't respond, or maybe they had life changes that won't allow them to participate any longer. So I fill the class with those who do respond and have watched the orientation and give the code, once again, 0910, and verify that they can attend the training dates. So please review the schedule and be prepared to let me know if you are available for training when prompted. Thank you.